I'm LaFuji Alexander, Director of Bands for Invest Collegiate Transform, and thank you for joining us for the North Carolina Career Connection Speaker Series. I'm excited to have our special guest today, owner and founder of Academy of the Gifted, producer, and music director for the Stars. That's a lot of hats there.
Hey, come on, man.
All right, Dr. William Blount.
Oh, man, thanks.
Thank you for joining us, sir.
Well, to God be the glory, man. Thanks for having me, man. Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
So let's talk about some of the different hats that you've wore
Okay.
throughout your professional career. Can you tell me a little bit about what is a music director?
A music director is a person who makes the artist's visions comes to life. My job is to understand their vision. I have to understand is a clear picture, so I have to have a clear picture of where they wants to go. And it starts from their albums, from the records that they sold to millions of fans. So it starts from there, understanding their visions, where they want to go, and then take it live, where they want to go with it. You want this show to be a type of show where you're dancing, it's a party show. If you want more emotional, because there's different phases as you creating the show as a music director. So you want the artist to be able to express themselves to the fullest on all points, emotional, like I said, happiness, sads, and things like that. So as a director, my job is to make sure I find the right players, because for each tour that I've done over my years and each genres of from plays to artists, it requires different type of musicians. So that's another thing as my responsibility is to find that right piece, those right musicians to fit that artist's vision.
Now, that leads me to another question. If I was an aspiring student, if I'm a student and I have aspirations of becoming a touring musician to, play for the Tyler Perrys or Chris Browns or Rihanna's or things like that, what advice would you give me? Like, where would I start?
For me, passion, purpose, understanding, because for me, let's go back a little bit. I know that for me, playing music and pianos and drums, was what I always wanted to play. So I knew that was my dream. So I just focused on my passion and I just played, practice. So that would be one of the things I say, if it's your purpose, practice. Stay focused, consistent. And those are the things I would say to get you to where you need to go for the Tyler Perrys and those things like that. Because once there's a passion, once you understand your gift and what your gift is, a lot of things do become natural to you. Like one of the things I learned when I was with Tyler, one of his process used to be when he used to do auditioning, if he asked somebody and said, hey, if you're a singer, he said, hey, sing Amazing Grace. And if they took a half a minute to pause or had to think what key they're gonna sing it in, or all that type of stuff, it was almost kind of like defeated the whole purpose, because he was almost already wasn't interested no more. Understand what I'm saying? And it's just like a singer, you know what I'm saying? Like or actor, you ask how I'm an actor or actress, and you come in and say, okay, give me a monologue. Act like somebody just broke into your house or does something like that, and you still stand there like, oh, what should I do? So it's more, but those who really got that passion, that drive, you can just do it until you had to make them stop. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things. So understanding what your gift is, one, from my perspective, understand what your gift is, and once you understand, have a clear picture of that, then pursue it, push it. You know what I'm saying? Practice. Because even like you have people like LeBron James to this day, great as he is, he still has to practice.
I was reading once where Beyonce practiced 6 hours a day for 6 months for a Coachella performance. Yeah. And I just thought that was insane to practice every day, 6 months, just a few songs. In terms of some of the artists that you have worked with, who would you say has just an insane work ethic that, kind of defines them and kind of makes sense of why they are catapulted into stardom?
Well, I was, since you say Beyonce, Destiny Child is one of them. You know what I'm saying? I was on the Survival Tour, and it was the first year that Matthew knows he wanted to create a Destiny Child trio band for the artists' friends and family. So they wanted to do something different. So they wanted to have where the band would have like a trio. And so when their friends and family eats and dine out, they have a special place for them every night on the tour. And so, and we did that. You know, I was the music director for that. I put the trio band together for the Destiny Child tour. But on that tour, this is when she learned how to play the acoustic guitar on that Survival tour. And I watched her every night, just because that was my first time really being around her and the girls like that. And I just kind of watched her how she just worked.
Now, if I'm an aspiring student and I'm sitting home watching this and I want to be the next producer for, you know, Beyonce or The Baby or J. Cole or someone, in terms of technology, where's a great place to start? Take me through the home studio. You know, if you was a kid now watching this and you want to get started, where would you advise that student to, you know, start here, get to know this, kind of follow this path for success?
www.academyofthegifted.org.
Okay.
We teach those about production. We use a program called Soundtrack that's made by SoundCloud and Spotify. You know what I'm saying, made by Spotify, and a great company, great piece, a tool that is for the kids is a damper down from the Logic and the Pro Tools and things like that, but it has great colors and great sound.
The learning curve for Pro Tools or professional, you know, industry standard software, you know, it's a big learning curve. So Soundtrap is something that that student can look at and get involved with.
Absolutely, man, and it's been marvelous for us, man. We, you know, with the 2020, with the virtual, you know, with this year, everything that was going down. This year, Academy to get there, actually, we was going to be in 4 locations over the Charlotte districts this year over the summer. But when the 2020 COVID came and all that, you know, it caused us to go virtual. And this is when we went to Soundtrap. And oh my God, man, the kids loves it, man. Love Soundtrap. So that's one way I would say target that. Get into music production technologies, because now they have so many things nowadays that you can go and learn. But Soundtrap is a good avenue outlet through the Academy of the Gifted.
There's a student of yours that you mentored throughout his entire career that's just soared to unspeakable heights. If you could just share a little bit about that whole story about, you know, his rise to stardom, coming from nothing to you know, the top player, top producer in the music industry.
Okay, yeah. Well, like I said, to God be the glory. Yeah, you talk about Carlos McSwain.
Yes, sir.
We call him Los, little brother of mine. So Carlos was special. But at the time, though, he's considered my first student. But you know, at the time though, it didn't feel like a school. It was my little brother, and he just really was talented. 12 years old, he started playing for plays and tours I was doing. I was just started putting on my little tours like that. Then by the time he was 13, 14 years old, playing for behind like people like Little John Roberts. John Roberts, a great drummer, man. I mean, he was a young, phenomenal drummer. Went off to play with Janet Jackson and so many other people, man, as a young drummer. So, and that's who I was playing with like the Monicas and all those. So my little brother, he was a drummer, and when I heard him at 12 years old, 13 years old, I was so amazed. So I started teaching him, practicing, you know, put little weights on him and things like that, and putting them behind people like Little John Roberts, and as we was touring with different artists and things like that. And man, by the time he was 14 years old, I got the call to do Aaliyah, and on his 15th birthday, October 22nd, when he turned 15, that was the first day of the tour for Carlos McSwain playing drums. And from that day on, man, he's been out here doing what he's been doing. Played for Snoop Dogg for 15 years, and Usher and Jay-Z and so many other people like that. Formed a brand called 1500 and Nothing, which those guys are doing an excellent job in the music business right now for the last 10, 15 years. You know, if you Google them up, look them up, 1500 and Nothing. They produce people from like Bruno Mars to I mean, we work with everybody, man. Everybody in the business, man. Sold millions and millions of records that they sold as producers. They toured and traveled all over the world as musicians, playing for different artists all over the world. So, yeah. So Carlos was one of my first, And that's what gave me the influence to start the school, because once I brought him out here on the road and all the artists just start seeing him, like, man, who's this little 15-year-old and 16-year-old, 17-year-old little boy out here, touring out here, playing the way he was playing. Then everybody was like, well, you're the one who kind of molded them. And then Carlos like, yo, we should start a school. So Carlos was the one who actually brought the attention to me, we should start a school. And he the one who figured that we should call it the Academy of the Gifted. So yeah, so Carlos is really the principle of why the Academy of the Gifted was birthed, is because how I was able to take this young man at a very, very young age, man, and make his dream come true. I mean, he was getting paid like a grown man. He was 6 figures and stuff like that at 15, 16 years old.
Wow.
Oh, because I paid him like I was paying everybody else. He was doing a job. I mean, he did the job better than even us as the adults was doing it. You know what I'm saying? He did real quick. I don't want to, but real quick though, there was even when we was doing the lead, Carlos was so. Cause I was teaching them how to be so precise. Even with the I think it was 1 in a Million has that little funny little drum little thing in there, and my boy CJ Charles Smith, my assistant director with me, he's the keyboardist and programmer. Even with him, when he was programming, we was in rehearsal, and CJ was programming the 1 in a Million, and he programmed that little beat. CJ forgot to put that in there, or he got lazy and didn't want to put it in there. So, and CJ had Carlos had told him. Carlos said, hey, CJ, you forgot to put that dun, 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 dun. And CJ was like, it's good. Just play. Make sure you just play it. So later on that night, when Aaliyah, her dad, and all get to rehearsal and all that stuff, we in rehearsal. We had crossover in Atlanta, and we rehearsing. So Aaliyah, when we get to that part, Aaliyah's like, hold on. She's like, hold on. I think there's a part missing in the drum part. Carlos jumped up. CJ, I told you. CJ, I told you. See, I told you, man. Remember I told you earlier? Then he played it, but he didn't know. But Carlos had already knew about being persistent, learning the record. You know, at 14 years old, you know, I had pounded that into it as well. Not by him just playing it and got tricks and stuff like that, but make sure you learn it just like the record. And at 14, he had accomplished that. And so Aaliyah, even when she saw him and met him and was like, wow, I have a 14-year-old, 15-year-old drummer. And then next thing you know, now she started adding him into the show. Now, when he was just being the drummer before the show, before the tours over with, he was doing 3 or 4 solos before the whole show was over with. So, yes, Carlos was one of the first ones and the one who brought to my attention about the Academy of the Gifted, why we should do a school, and my little brother.
Oh, man. That is absolutely. Well, before we close here, and I do want to thank you for joining us today, is there any advice that you would like to give to the aspiring artists, musicians, singers out there that they can take with them and build from?
If I had a mirror, I'd just say, look in the mirror, man, and find out what your gift is. Dig deep. Find out what you believe your purpose is. And if you find out what your purpose is, you'll be able to follow your dream, your vision, your goals. You'll follow it. Whatever God has intended for you to be and do.
I think that is so awesome for students to ditch the textbook, go behind the scenes with a live professional and actually get the hands-on experience of, being able to work on a project and get that, tutelage from a seasoned professional. Thank you a lot, sir. I love what you're doing. What you're doing.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So there you have it, William Blount, owner and founder of Academy of the Gifted, producer and music director for The Stars. Thank you for tuning in today. I would like to also thank Faith Productions and the Artist Corner series for their sponsorship.
Artist Corner.